What was Huron Resolve?
Sure. So as you know, one of the top priorities for Bruce Power is safety first, and part of being a safe nuclear plant means testing your capability on a regular basis. That's something we do on a very frequent basis here at Bruce Power. But one of the lessons learned coming out of Fukushima was the importance of having not only Bruce Power's emergency response capability tested on a regular basis, but working with provincial agencies, other organizations. And through this exercise this week, the team has done a very effective job of engaging 50 different organizations from across the province, some 500 people. And this is really not about testing our individual capability. It's about connecting everybody through a scenario. So from our point of view, this has been a very successful exercise. We've been able to create a whole range of scenarios that are unheard of to the area, but that allow us to fully test the capability. As you don't have to do much other than drive around the area here and see that we've got police cars blocking roads. I mean, people have really gone to fully test this capability. And I think that's an important lesson for the nuclear industry. Essentially, for many years here on site, our message was we have safe plants, which we do, and we know the environment around the plant, and as a result of that, we know the likelihood of an event is almost impossible. But I think what's important in terms of gaining public confidence is that we don't just say that we able to say, hey, let's assume an extremely unlikely scenario, and let's demonstrate we can respond in that kind of event. And that's really been what we've had. And I think that's really important. I mean, throughout the week, just personally, I can tell you, I was involved as a member of our crisis management team. And everybody right up to the CEO of the company, to the folks in operations, and to the great work of our emergency protective services group here, did an incredibly effective job at making this as real as possible, because that's how you have to train people. And this is really best practice as you look at the work that our first responders do in the community and all throughout the province. They test these things and they do them regularly, and it makes us all better and stronger.
What would something like this cost?
That's a good question, John. I mean, I would say it's a multi-million-dollar investment when all is said and done. I can get you an exact number, but it's a very important investment because we literally spend tens and tens of millions of dollars on upgrades to our plant, on sustaining investments in the site to make it safe, and this is a very good investment that we make in testing that capability. So it's money well spent. One of the things that we also have to take into account is the partnerships that our EPS organization have made related to this to design all these scenarios and test this. We've had everything from mock media to mock casualties, and developing all that in a realistic way is very important. And I can tell you, just as being on some of the calls and whatnot this week, everybody treated this as if we were in a real scenario. And that's really important. I think the public expects that.
Probably not your call, but have there been any red flags where you thought, we didn't expect that, we have to improve?
Well, I think that, you'd be doing a disservice to this exercise if you didn't find areas for improvement. So I think, like anything, we'll do a full lessons learned review. There will, of course, be lessons learned. If we don't find lessons learned coming out of this exercise, well, we haven't done a proper lessons learned. So there'll always be lessons learned. That's something related to nuclear that's at our core. We'll always find ways of doing things better. So I'm sure there will be. But the one piece of early feedback that I can share with people is, especially the evolution since Huron Challenge in 2011, which was the first ever large-scale exercise of this size, the coordination between the agencies is unprecedented. And that evolution from Huron Challenge to Huron Resolve now has really shown the value of these exercises and that coordination. So I think people will leave with a bit of a spring in their step, but never losing sight that we can always do better.
And it's pretty clear. I mean, obviously, something bad happens to downtown Kincardine, that'd be awful. I mean, but the responsibility of running a nuclear plant, something bad happens here, could impact thousands upon, so many more people. I mean, we talk about lessons learned. I mean, that probably drives it home that, hey, something bad happens here, we have to be extra careful because we have people's lives, a lot in our hands.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges. It's an excellent point. That's one of the challenges we have from a communications point of view. Because oftentimes when you test your capability, or you do something like a KI tablet distribution like we did a year ago, a lot of times that can make people feel less safe because you're raising, something extremely unlikely from happening. But that's not a reason not to do it. And so we hope that this exercise improves public confidence. I think we have, and I think you said it best, a tremendous obligation operating this technology to do everything we can, leave no stone unturned. And I think this coordination between the agencies and the company has been an effective way of doing that. And I think the public expects it. They don't want us to say, hey, these plants are safe and nothing could ever happen, even though we know that to be based on our track record here over the last 50 years. We've had nuclear power in the area for 50 years and it's been safe. But that's not enough. People want to say, okay, test it and prove it to me. It's really that kind of trust but verify message that I think is important.
Will there be a final report that comes out of this exercise that goes to Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission?
Absolutely. All of the agencies will, of course, do their own lessons learned, and I'm sure the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission will be reporting this to the Commission in their normal course to the Commission. Obviously, the CNSC has been part of this drill from their command center in Ottawa. I can tell you, having been at the IAEA General Assembly last week in Vienna, that actually there were IAEA people from Vienna that were monitoring this at the CNSC. So all of these agencies are involved, and there'll be an expectation internally in all these agencies to do their own lessons learned.